Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Elle's Alchemy. Has there been any day where you want to have something sweet, salty and tart? Then this is one such recipe where you get all these three tastes at one go. There is something special about this recipe as there's a secret ingredient incorporated in this raspberry mini cheesecake bites. There are 3 steps to this recipe, so let's get started. The special ingredient in this recipe is our paneer or cottage cheese. This is made from whole milk. Now whole milk paneer always tastes better than the reduced fat paneer. So try making this at home, as this taste it will impart a different flavor rather than the store-bought one. We'll probably do a video later if it's requested on how to do this homemade paneer. We then have 4 ounces of cream cheese, which is at room temperature, or about half a cup or 8 tablespoons. All the measurements are given in the description box. Please check them in detail. We then have the powdered sugar. Please ensure that the sugar is ground well in your mixie. And we then have our famous 50-50 MaskaChaska. This recipe tastes better if you have a salty crust, as there's a lot of cheese going on. You need something to cut that richness. So please have a salty biscuit as a base here rather than your sweet crackers or any other digestive biscuit. The butter was kept out for about an hour and a half and it still holds its shape and it is not at room temperature. We have about 1/3 cup of instant oats here. I didn't have rolled oats at that point in time, but if anybody wants to use rolled oats and see, please let me know how it turned out. The crust is going to be formed of biscuit, butter and this instant oats. We then next have the flour or the all-purpose flour, or locally called as Maida. We have then baking soda and baking powder. We also need 1/4 of a cup of milk. One can use the hand blender or the whisk to prepare this cream mixture. To bake this, I had about a 25 count mini muffin pan, but you have just the 4 or the 6 count, then you can still go ahead and use it because it really doesn't matter. But I just felt that the smaller the size of these cheesecake bites, it looks more beautiful to look, but it really doesn't matter. You can use any baking dish for this. Take a large wide bowl, because we're going to use a whisk or a hand blender. We need something wide enough. To a wide bowl, we put in this cream cheese. To this cream cheese, we now add the paneer or cottage cheese. Always try to break it or crush it using your hands, as mixing it with whisk with big pieces will be quite labor intensive when you are trying to get a good texture of the cream. So crush it well with your hands and then mix it using your hand blender or your whisk. Start slow when you are just switching on the blender, as you don't want all this mixture to come out of the bowl. To this we add little by little some milk, as one shot adding will not get the required texture. So add little by little to achieve a creamier texture. So keep mixing it until you get a nice creamy texture. In the middle, you can check for the texture by just testing a little bit, and if you feel you just need a little more of milk, add in the milk. And now is also the right time to add sugar, but add them at part by part. So I'm just adding 1 part of sugar now out of a half cup. And now I'm going to blend it again. Keep blending until you get a nice creamy texture. Now add the rest of the sugar and continue blending. Add in 2 or 3 drops of vanilla extract or essence and then start blending again. Use the spatula to scrape the cheese sticking to the sides of the bowl to incorporate it to the whole mixture. Once the entire mixture is well combined, we now add in 1/3 cup of flour, which is going to be sieved. Now the reason why we need to sieve this is if there are any lumps in this flour, we don't want that to end up in our cream cheese mixture. So sieve the flour before adding it to the mixture. We add baking powder and baking soda and mix it well. I finally use a blender to blend all these ingredients, the cream cheese mixture, our maida or all-purpose flour with the baking soda and the baking powder. Line your baking tray with the muffin cups to hold our cake mixture. Now in another bowl, open up the biscuit packet, and I don't think you require almost all of it, as when I prepared this crust there was little bit mixture remaining. So just take 70% of what it's available in the packet and start breaking it with your hand. Now you could do this in a Ziploc bag and then pound it with your chapati roller or a rolling pin. But I prefer to use my hands here as I want some uneven bits, and it should not look like everything is completely powdered. To this, I add 4 tablespoons of butter. The butter is not at room temperature. I had kept this butter out for about an hour and a half. So it can just hold enough shape and not too hard enough. It should be easy for you to break it with a spoon and mix it well. After the butter and the biscuit crumbs have been mixed, we add 1/3 cup of instant oats. You can start mixing this with your hand itself so that everything gets well mixed up. I take about half a tablespoon of this mixture and put it into each of the individual muffin cups. I use a seasoning oil bottle cap to press down this biscuit crumb so that it sets in easily. Press down the biscuit crumb one more time before the cream cheese is piped into it. Now the cream cheese mixture is now taken in a Ziploc bag, and the edge of the Ziploc bag was cut so that I could use to pipe it. Now if you have a piping bag, well and good, you can use that, but I did not have any on that day, so I used a Ziploc bag here. If you can also use a milk packet which is dried, and you can use the edge of that to pipe this mixture out. You could just 1 or 2 circles would be enough, as this is a mini muffin pan I had used, so 1 or 2 swirls is what this pan can hold. If you're using a large pan, then I think it depends upon how is the size left over, the space left over to pipe this. Once the cream cheese mixture is piped into this biscuit crust, we then put this into the preheated oven, which was on for almost 10 minutes. So it's ensure that the oven is nice and hot, and bake it for 15 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. The baking temperature and the time to bake might vary depending on the appliance used. So if 15 minutes isn't enough, you can just bake another 3 or 4 minutes extra to bake this completely. We then take a handful of raspberries into a pan and add in 2 tablespoons of sugar. Mix the sugar and the raspberries and crush them down so that the juices are all released. Once the raspberries are all crushed and you see a lot of juice, add in 2 tablespoons of lime juice and stir it. Keep stirring the mixture until you get a jam-like consistency, and to test that, just rub the backside of the spoon and the liquid should not drip. I took about I think 10 minutes to get to a texture which was required. So keep stirring at a low flame. You don't want to burn the raspberries out to get this texture. So I think it's almost ready now. There are 2 ways to actually do this topping. You can actually crush the raspberries and then take the seeds out and then prepare this jam. But at home we prefer to have the seeds, as it gives a bit of crunch to the mini cheesecakes when you have it. So it totally is individual specific, so try both the ways if you can. Scoop out about half a tablespoon for each of the cupcake. Now it's again totally individual based. If you want to just put and cover the entire top with raspberry, it will still taste good. There's nothing called little, right? But it's totally your choice on how you want to present this. The cheesecake stays well without being refrigerated at least for about 2 days, and I don't think even it'll last that long if you have kids at home, as it's quite tasty to eat. Now time to cut the raspberry mini cheesecake. It holds up well, as you can see, and the jam has really infused inside. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you let me know how it turned out by giving your feedback, it would be great. So for more interesting recipes, watch Elle's Alchemy, and to hit the subscribe button, and thank you for watching.